After being packaged, I unexpectedly discovered I was a beta capable of getting pregnant. I told Mars to take precautions. He never listened. My lips were pressed down hard. This mouth, it would be better if it made some other sound. The day the contract expired, outside, rain poured in torrents. I took an umbrella and a white cat. The white cat's name is Rio. Mars picked him up when he was drunk, astray. Almost a year had passed, and Rio never showed affection to him. I wrapped Rio in my arms, opened the umbrella and stepped into the curtain of rain. Stopped at the nearest bus stop. It was only 9 in the morning, but the sky looked like evening. I called a rideshare and waited for a long time. The phone rang. Mars. I didn't answer. Once in the car, Rio poked his head out from my arms. The call kept coming. I pulled out the SIM card and tossed it into the storage compartment. Outside, mist and rain swirled past the car window. I hugged the little cat closer. Rio, we're free now. 2. I bought the apartment after landing the first project I handled for the company. One of Mars' conditions was that we had to live together. Whenever he went on business trips or found someone else, I would return here, taking Rio with me. This was my real home. Mars might know, or he might not. He didn't really care what I did in private. All he cared about was whether his desires were satisfied. I was like a tool he had bought with a clear price tag for his own pleasure. 200 million, 1 year. And just like that, it passed. 3. The first time I formally met Mars was at a party. He and a few spoiled friends were teasing an Omega. It was like some kind of betting game. The Omega looked like a college student, face flushed red. Someone whistled, inviting me to join. I glanced at Mars with disgust, and took the Omega away. That night, I was trapped in a room by someone's scheme. It was Mars who came in. I knew I couldn't escape, nor did I try. Only the next morning, I smashed a wine bottle on his head. Deep red wine soaked the pillow, mixing with the flowing crimson. I called an ambulance and left, waiting for him to settle the score. It wasn't until 3 months later that he appeared in front of me. By then, a project the company had been preparing for 2 years hit a snag. Investors pulled out one after another. Mars threw a contract at me. I signed, and 200 million immediately transferred. I had no choice. But the moment I put down my pen, the nightmare began. 4. Mars demanded to see my medical report. He specified a private hospital, run by his cousin Porter. Lucky or unlucky, I don't know. A beta like me, discovered with a fully developed reproductive cavity. Once I calmed down, I asked the doctor not to tell Mars, and had him prescribe 2 boxes of medicine. I was grateful he didn't ask any questions. He suggested I keep his number, contact me if anything comes up. I lowered my eyes to the page with the digits and name. Elegant, just like him. I smiled lightly, folded it carefully, put it in my pocket, and thanked him. 5. Mars was an alpha with endless energy. I thought the worst he could give me was physical torment, but psychologically, it was far worse. He never used protection, always focused on making me make embarrassing sounds. He loved seeing me lose control, suffer, and struggle. I would rather bite myself until my mouth bled. Mars just grinned savagely. Spencer, blood only makes me more excited. Sweat stung my eyes. I couldn't see his face clearly. I just felt like I'd provoked a lunatic. The first time Mars brought someone home and invited me to join, I kicked him. The result? Locked in the next room that night, forced to listen through the wall. I did make noises, but for some reason, hearing it made me want to laugh. Mars was relentless, like a brainless maniac. 2 months ago, he came home drunk, found the medicine I kept in the fridge, held it up, smirking cruelly. Spencer, haven't I turned you into an Omega yet? The doctor prescribed it. Which doctor? The one from the mental hospital? Your cousin. The other day when I brought you home, you were flirting with him, and I haven't even settled that with you yet. He was insane. I reached for it. He snatched it from me in one swipe, pulled all of it out and flushed it down the drain. I don't care what medicine he gave you. His alpha pheromones didn't affect me, but I couldn't match his physical strength. When he threw me onto the bed, I still tried to struggle, until pain radiated from below. My neck ached too. Nausea churned in my stomach. Fear made me crawl instinctively, but it was useless. I clearly felt a part of my body being opened. A chill ran through my heart. More than pain, it was despair. At dawn, I did it again. Smashed an ashtray on his head. This time, no ambulance. Better if he died. 6. A cat's meow pulled me back to reality. I glanced outside. Half the sky was painted with evening glow. Fed Rio, then ordered takeout. The doorbell rang. I opened the door, then quickly shut it. Stalemate with a shoe stuck in the door for a moment. Still, I opened it. I stepped back, letting Mars hold the door. Why did you leave? I stayed silent, eyes fixed on the scar at his temple. A flicker of panic passed his face. He hurried. Spencer, last time, I acted impulsively, you vented too, didn't you? Once you'd had your fun, you came back to me. The contract ended, the deal's done. I'm going home. What's the problem? Mars' brow furrowed tightly, anger swirling in his eyes. I thought of something disgusting to say. Or, do you have feelings for me? Can't bear to let me go? Mars' expression cracked inch by inch. He was probably genuinely disgusted. Just then, the takeout arrived. I didn't look at him again. Grabbed the food and shut the door. 7. I took a few bites of the takeout. Had no appetite. Actually, I hadn't had much appetite for the past 2 weeks. Last Monday, right after the morning meeting, I rushed to the bathroom and vomited until my head spun. Even then, I had a bad feeling. Now, that feeling had only grown stronger. I dialed a number. Doctor, it's me. Will you be at the hospital tomorrow? Yes, what's up? I need your help, for a checkup. That's fine. If it's not urgent, come after 2 p.m. when it's less crowded. Okay, thanks. The doctor was also an alpha. Just by looking at his build and face, he had an intimidating presence. But after a few encounters, he felt polite and gentle. He specialized in reproductive medicine, so the exams I needed naturally fell within his scope. As usual, he never asked unnecessary questions. During holidays, his family always held banquets. Mars, not wanting to be nagged about marriage, dragged me along to appease his relatives. The doctor, being Mars' cousin, would nod politely when we crossed paths. A bit over 2 months ago, it was Mars' father's birthday, and I was dragged there too. The doctor noticed I didn't look well and chatted a bit more. Mars interpreted it as flirting. Ridiculous. 8. At the hospital, in the ultrasound room, he handed me a box of tissues. I used a few to wipe off the remaining gel on my lower abdomen. When I looked up, I caught his gaze lingering on my stomach. What's wrong? For a moment, he seemed surprised, then smiled after looking away. Nothing, just a little on your clothes. I pulled my shirt down, folded the tissues, and tossed them into the trash. Doesn't matter. He led me to his office. You saw the ultrasound just now. There's indeed a gestational sac in your reproductive cavity. Based on all the indicators, it's a healthy life. I'm not keeping it. He clasped his hands on the desk, silent for a moment before speaking. Although you have a fully developed reproductive cavity, you're a beta. The chance of pregnancy is still very low. If you give this up, and want children later, it would be almost impossible. I hope you've thought it through. There was a thriving potted plant on his desk, and I couldn't help touching the leaves. I've thought it through. You really don't want it? Yes, I don't. He nodded and handed me a test report. Judging by the gestational sac size, you've passed the optimal time for medication abortion. If you want to remove it, surgery is required. Due to beta anatomy, suction or curettage isn't possible. Only laparoscopy can be done. Can I leave immediately after? He gave a helpless smile. Recovery in the hospital takes about 2 to 3 days. You'll need to plan your schedule accordingly. I thought about my work over the next few days and asked, can the surgery be scheduled for tomorrow? Yes. As I reached the door, something occurred to me. Please don't tell Mars about this. Our relationship was never normal, and now it's over. Less trouble is better. He nodded. I opened the door and started walking out. A nurse passing by looked surprised when she saw me and peeked inside. You're still here. Weren't you off this afternoon? A friend had something at the hospital. Leaving soon. Oh, okay, I'll go then. I glanced back. The doctor had taken off his white coat and was walking toward the door with his bag. Let's go together. He smiled warmly, and I couldn't help but return a small smile. Since we're friends, let's drop the mister, okay? He raised an eyebrow, closed the door behind him, and said, let's go, Spencer. 9. The day after surgery, the nurse had just checked the room. Porter came again. Half jokingly, I said, you've been here 6 or 7 times since yesterday, right? Some nurses are guessing I'm your relative. Actually, most guessed I was his partner. The nurse working with Porter even told me, she had never seen him smile at anyone as much as he smiles at me. Porter rarely responded, just checked my wound. Healing well. You can consider discharge. Want to go now? Now? Yes. Porter helped me with the discharge process. When we returned to the room, I was packing. Thanks, you can go now. I'm not busy, waiting for you. I turned to see Porter standing at the door in a shirt and trousers. Done for the day? Yes. 10 more minutes. Take your time. Was he planning to leave with me again? After leaving the hospital, I mentioned I didn't drive, and he insisted on taking me home. Traffic was clogged for over half an hour. We got home close to 8. As we stepped into the elevator, I wondered if I should order food for Porter. The moment the elevator doors opened, my thoughts froze. Someone was at the door. Mars. 10. What's going on? Instinctively, I raised a hand to block Porter. Thanks for your help today. I'll treat you another time. Cousin. Footsteps sounded behind me, with a snicker. Spencer, don't tell me this was just a coincidence. Mars stepped into the brightest spot of light. I could see him clearly now. Face flushed, temple veins standing out, eyes full of agitation. Sign of an approaching heat cycle. Porter, also an alpha, probably noticed too. He stood close to me, muscle tension palpable. I tugged lightly at his sleeve, signaling him to go first. Of course, I knew why Mars came. The first time his heat cycle hit and he sought me out, I was puzzled. I'm a beta, I don't emit pheromones. It's uncomfortable for me, and he suffers too. The first time, I couldn't read his mind. The second time, I paid attention. Mars would stare into my eyes for a long time, then cover them and kiss me, as if trying to see another person through me. Even in pain, I couldn't stop smiling at that thought. Turns out even Mars, who commands Cloud City, can love and fail. Now, his heat cycle hit again, seeking me a third time, but I had no obligation to be with him. Mars, I hope you understand, we're even now. Go on your own. Don't wait for me to call someone to escort you. Passing him, he suddenly shouted. Spencer, rushing to cut ties with me. What? Someone else in your heart? I wonder who would want someone I've completely. A grunt of pain behind me. I turned. Mars was on his hands, Porter standing nearby, face cold as water. Angry Porter. Why haven't you? In a blink, the two were grappling. Porter, taller and stronger, landed several blows Mars couldn't retaliate from. You hit me for a beta? Are you out of your mind? Mars clutched his abdomen, kneeling. Porter glanced at me. Go inside. I opened the door but didn't enter. Porter looked at me, then at Mars groaning on the floor. He kicked Mars once more before walking over. Call an ambulance? No, he won't die. I nodded. Under Mars' resentful gaze, I closed the door. 11. Go sit on the sofa for a moment. His arm gently tugged mine. Porter's expression had returned to normal. Did I scare you just now? I blinked at him for a moment, then smiled. No, if you weren't so capable, I'd have gone inside to grab the tools already. I pointed to the corner of his eyebrow and the edge of his mouth. Sit for a while, I'll get your first aid kit. As I turned, he pulled me back. A shadow fell over me, and before I could react, his lips pressed against mine. Just pressed. No further action. I let my breath soften. When I came to, Porter's lips had moved to my forehead. A gentle touch. Then one arm crossed my shoulders, the other wrapped around my waist. Porter is taller, and this posture made me tilt my head slightly. I slowly lifted my hand, then let it fall. You don't mind? The arm at my waist tightened a little. We were close enough to feel each other's heartbeat. After a long moment, I heard him say, I often wonder, if I hadn't gone into medicine and had gone into business instead, would things have turned out differently? A random thought, yet I understood him. I had no answer, so I patted his back lightly, signaling him to release me. You're a good doctor. Don't think about, what if? The tension gradually faded. Walking to the living room, I joked. After you beat Mars like that, how are you going to sit at the same table with him again? I wanted to deal with him a long time ago. If not for my uncle, I wouldn't even bother. That much grudge. Every time I see you. I realized it was time to stop talking and pretended not to hear. Porter took the first aid kit from my hands and headed to the bathroom. I grabbed my phone and followed. What do you want to eat? I can order something. Don't worry about me. Order what you like. Keep it light. Oh. When the food arrived, Porter frowned. This is what you call light? Amid a table of fried and stir-fried dishes, I self-consciously served him the boiled greens. First time I'm treating you, can't let you go hungry. I can eat plain soup noodles too. How does one respond to that? I just smiled. After dinner, he washed the dishes on his own, while I sat on the sofa with Rio, zoning out. Rio was very affectionate toward him, even staying at his feet during the meal. Maybe Rio also knew who was trustworthy. When Porter came out of the kitchen, he grabbed his coat and headed to the door. Leaving? Won't bother you anymore. Get some rest early. Okay. But the door didn't open for a while. I walked over and asked, what's wrong? Porter hesitated, as if unsure how to speak. Spencer, could I ask you out for a meal sometime? Instinctively, I felt like refusing outright. Maybe his gaze was too sincere. The refusal got stuck on my tongue and came out ambiguous. Let's see. 12. The company had over 10 new products launching soon. The past month had been hectic. Porter asked me out twice, but after careful thought, I declined both times. He was a good person. Of course, he deserved someone even better. Just after the last meeting before the new product launch, I got a call from my brother, Royce. Our father had a sudden heart attack and was in the hospital. When I arrived, the room was crowded. Rafferty's lawyer and 2 assistants were there. Rafferty was awake, lifting his eyelids weakly when he saw me. The lawyer immediately stepped in front of me. "Young master, the chairman doesn't want you present." Before I could react, someone pulled me from behind. "Royce, brother, Dad wants to make a will. Let's step aside." I nodded and turned. A hoarse voice sounded, "Royce, stay." I didn't turn, continuing slowly toward the door. Too many eyes were on me. The lawyer spoke, but I didn't notice. Then that hoarse voice pinned me at the doorway. "After I die, all assets under my name will go to my son, Royce. My son Royce." Like a bucket of ice water thrown over me. I clenched the doorknob, loosened it, clenched again, loosened again. I could hear my voice trembling. "Dad, am I not your son too?" The reply was firm and resolute. "After I die, all assets under my name go to my son, Royce." 13. Royce was Rafferty's child with his second wife. An alpha he was proud of. Rafferty entrusted the company to me because Royce was still too young to take over. He couldn't pass a company that had lost money for 3 years straight to him. In 5 years of running the company, I never slacked off. A year ago, the company faced a major crisis. Rafferty did nothing. I signed an agreement with Mars to turn things around. All because this company was the culmination of my mother's life work. Rafferty didn't love my mother, so naturally, he didn't love me. I thought that when Rafferty died, maybe he'd leave half the company to Royce, but not all of it. Urgent footsteps sounded behind me. "Brother, Dad might not be fully aware right now. Don't take his words to heart. I think what he did was wrong, maybe a misunderstanding. Talk to him properly, okay?" Royce was well protected by Rafferty, simple-minded. Even if I wanted to fight, he might not get half the assets. But seeing his anxious face, I suddenly didn't want to fight. "No need, Royce. Let it be as he said, brother." Also, I smiled, "From now on, regardless of whether Rafferty lives or dies, don't contact me again." 14. Leaving the hospital, I realized I had nothing pressing to do. The sunlight was bright, a cool breeze blowing occasionally. Nice weather. Time to visit my mom. Kneeling at her grave, I had so much to say, but only one line came out. "Sorry, Mom. I did my best." After leaving the cemetery, I went to the supermarket and bought a lot of ingredients. Back home, I cooked everything I could. By 10 p.m., staring at the full table of dishes, I had no appetite. I washed some for Rio. The rest I took downstairs to share with the stray cats and dogs. Back home, I went to bed. It was already 2 a.m., but I couldn't sleep. By 8:30 a.m., my phone vibrated. At 9, I answered one of the calls. "Thank God, you finally picked up. The new product launch is about to start. Where are you? Should I send someone to pick you up?" "No need." "Ah, what? The launch is waiting for you to host." "I won't be attending. Just get someone else, or don't open it at all." "Are you joking? Hello? Are you listening?" I hung up and turned off the phone. After some thought, I sent a resignation letter to the board. By evening, I turned my phone back on. It rang non-stop for a while. Then, a strange number came through. "I heard your company's product launch this morning was spectacular. Press releases everywhere, and the stock hit the floor. Who are you? Don't play dumb. Been gone for only a short while, and you don't recognize my voice?" "Oh, Spencer, listen carefully. I'm calling to tell you I intend to acquire." "You intend to acquire? What?" Panic. "Of course, if you obediently return, I might consider dropping the acquisition." He actually called just to joke with me. I held the phone laughing for a long time before saying, "Do as you like." 15. I warmed some fish and meat for Rio. Ordered a drink for myself for delivery. Half an hour later, the doorbell rang. With the drinks came Porter. I raised a smile and greeted him. "Want to have a drink together?" Once inside, I placed 10 bottles of alcohol on the carpet, all opened. Handed one to Porter, clinking it with a smile. "Drink up." I tilted my head and drained half a bottle. The liquid burned its way down, igniting a sharp, fiery warmth. I needed this feeling right now. I finished the rest of the half bottle in one go. Porter remained in his original position, motionless. I laughed and asked, "Don't you like it? What do you usually drink? I can order it for you." After taking out my phone, Porter spoke up. "Spencer, you don't have to smile if you're not happy." I lowered my eyes and, after a brief silence, nodded. I picked up another bottle and drank. Turns out, even smiling didn't make me likable. The warmth in my stomach faded. Suddenly, my hands were empty. 3 bottles. That's enough. I glanced at the empty bottles on the floor, then at Porter. Frustration welled up, and my fingertips dug into my palms. If I can't drink, then what's the point? 16. A hand appeared in my vision, bony and defined, following the arm upward, across the shoulder and neck, past the prominent Adam's apple, and finally landing on his lips. I cleared the empty bottles and, in the next second, grabbed Porter by the collar, pulling him close, pressed my lips to his. My hands cradled the back of his neck, pulling him toward me. Breathing deepened, my tongue tingled. The near-suffocating feeling was intoxicating. A force pushed me back. As I hit the floor, Porter pulled his lips away. Deep breath. Switch air. I didn't listen. Holding his neck, I pressed closer, panting as I whispered, "Do you want it?" One hand wandered along his torso, but the moment I touched him, he caught my hand and moved it away. "Are you prepared?" Porter's body reacted far more than his calm voice suggested. I shook off his hand and went inside his shirt. "Just do it." The wandering hand was abruptly pulled out. Porter pressed my other hand above my head. "It will hurt if you go straight in." "I don't care." Suddenly, he lifted me, sitting up and holding me from behind. The fire inside me was instantly extinguished. Frustration surged again. "Porter, you clearly don't care." I struggled with my arms. "If you don't want to, then let go." He held me even tighter. "Release me." His strength didn't falter. Porter's voice was low, emotionless. "Spencer, you don't actually want this, you're not reacting." I brushed his hand away. After a moment of standoff, I finally gave in, leaning back against his shoulder. "Then it's fine if you don't want it." Porter murmured something in my ear. About a restaurant he liked, a movie he'd seen, a flower shop near the hospital. Warmth behind me. I couldn't hear a thing. The overhead light flickered annoyingly. I had to close my eyes. "Porter, you're too noisy." My cheek was gently touched. Do you want to sleep? If I fall asleep, will you leave?" "I won't. Staying with you forever, then." 17. Porter actually followed through. He was still at my place at 10 a.m. "Aren't you going to work at the hospital?" Porter pulled me to the table and brought over a bowl of plain porridge and some side dishes. "I run the hospital. A few days off doesn't matter." "Oh, you're afraid I might do something reckless." Porter smiled helplessly, studying me for a long while. "Am I overthinking?" I took a big sip of porridge. "No, I won't jump off a building, nor harm myself." I drank a few more mouthfuls, then set the empty bowl aside. "You can go to work. There are many people who need you." A shallow crease appeared between Porter's brows. "Spencer, don't you need anyone?" I shook my head and smiled lightly. "Go to work. Thanks for last night." I walked him to the door. The moment the door closed, the nausea in my stomach became unbearable. I rushed to the bathroom and emptied everything. A meow came from behind. I splashed water on my face, holding Rio in my arms, and slumped onto the sofa. "Sorry, Rio. The Porter you like." I scared him away again. 18. I slept until 4 p.m. My phone was flooded with missed calls and messages, mostly from Royce. "Brother, are you really not going back to the company?" The screen was full of similar messages, many with crying emojis. "I'm not going back. You'll handle the company affairs from now on. If you're unsure, talk to Rafferty's assistant." Less than a minute later, Royce called. "Brother, you finally picked up. Something wrong?" "Ah, yes. This morning, the group came for negotiations. Mars said that if he couldn't see you, he would buy the company." "I won't meet him. Handle the acquisition however you see fit." Seeing him so flustered, I guessed what was happening. "With you gone, things are chaotic here. I might not manage." So, I thought of selling the company to him and splitting the money. "Whether you sell or not, it's your call." "I don't want the money." "You have to, or I'll just take it and leave it at your door." "Anything else?" "Yes, don't hang up. It's not important, just funny." This morning, during the negotiation, Mars was so arrogant. When I arrived, he suddenly softened. Afterward, he specifically stayed behind to thank me. I was puzzled, so I asked what for. Guess what he said? "Thank you for bringing him cake and roses on his 18th birthday. What a huge misunderstanding." I told him you sent me. Guess what? Mars almost lost his balance, went pale, and walked away. "Anything else?" "No, brother." Hang up. 19. Mars was currently the only qualified heir, but he was actually a illegitimate child, raised abroad since he was little. When he was 17, his mother passed away, and he was brought home. On the eldest master's 20th birthday, as usual, a birthday banquet was held at home. Royce and I were invited. During the banquet, the lady of the house mentioned that tomorrow was Mars's 18th birthday. That birthday party, in a sense, was also for Mars. But at the banquet, Mars wasn't seen, and no one sent him any wishes. I felt stifled indoors and wandered into the garden. Not far away, I saw someone sitting on the swing. The silhouette looked lonely. It was Mars. At that moment, I thought, an 18th birthday shouldn't be half-hearted. I messaged the driver to order a cake. When the cake arrived at the side door, I took it back and passed a flower bed along the way. The roses were in full bloom, glistening with dew, their fragrance wafting through the air. I picked one. Mars was still sitting on the swing. I was thinking of a reason to give it to him when Royce suddenly appeared. "Brother, did you go get the cake? And roses too? Why is your hand bleeding?" Royce was cheerful, sweet, and could chat with anyone. It was perfect for him to deliver it. "See the guy sitting on the swing over there? Tomorrow is his birthday. Please deliver the cake and flower, okay? Brother, aren't you going?" I waved my hand. "No, I'll take care of my hand first." "All right, brother, I'll bring it back to you." Royce later told me that he delivered it, said happy birthday, and left. He didn't even take note of what the other person looked like. When Mars was in heat, I wondered who he was looking at through me. Now I had an answer. That night, he remembered Royce. But Royce lived freely, roaming the world. He wouldn't stop for anyone. Back then, I secretly mocked Mars for loving but not being able to have, using me as a substitute, but in truth, I was the one he couldn't have. 20. Around 9 p.m. Porter sent a message. "This morning I left some dishes in the fridge. Did you eat?" I did. I lay down for another half hour. I opened the fridge to check. Only 2 wilted vegetables were left. I glanced at my phone. No reply from Porter. He must be disappointed. That was fine. I cleaned the fridge a bit, took out the trash. When I opened the door, someone squatting by the wall quickly stood up. It was Mars, disheveled, reeking of alcohol. He took 2 steps forward. I could see his bloodshot eyes and bruised cheekbones clearly. "Spencer," he lowered his gaze, voice hoarse, like a different person. He stared at me in silence for a long time, trembling as he asked, "The blood on the rose, is it yours?" I forgot. He took another step forward, his smile bitter. "Regret it?" I didn't answer, staring into empty space. Many outcomes had more than one reason. I was about to walk around him. Thud. Mars fell to his knees. "Spencer, I'm sorry." Strangely, his apology made me uncomfortable. "Stand up, Mars. You and I, it was just a transaction. It's already over." Mars bowed his head, shoulders trembling slightly, repeating "I'm sorry" over and over. The words reached my ears but stirred no emotion. As I prepared to leave, Mars called out, "Spencer, I went to Porter's hospital today. I found out, you stayed there, for a couple of days. Can you tell me, why?" Mars looked up at me, eyes full of pleading. I turned my gaze away. I terminated an embryo. A warm hand touched my lower abdomen. Mars's palm rested there lightly, trembling slightly. His lips quivered, voice breaking into a sob. "The embryo, how could it? How did I?" The restrained sobs grew louder. Mars hunched over, talking about all the things he had done, saying he shouldn't have, calling himself a jerk, apologizing to me. My agitation grew stronger. Countless memories surged, entangling into a mess. My mind felt trapped in a massive net, unable to think, unable to focus. I didn't know what to do. Chaos filled me, as if something was dragging me down endlessly. The weightlessness and helplessness pressed down, making it hard to breathe. "Spencer, hit me, scold me, please, hit me." Mars grabbed my hand and pressed it to his face. The sounds around me blurred. I gasped like a fish thrown into the desert. I wanted to leave, to scream, but I couldn't move. I couldn't control my body. What to do? What to do? What to do? Suddenly, the light vanished. A large hand covered my eyes. I was pulled into an embrace. My fingers were pried from my own hand. My body shook, unable to tell whose it was. My voice trembled too. "Spencer, close your eyes. Breathe deeply. If you want to cry, let it out. Scream if you want. Don't think about anything. I'm here. I'll stay with you." His temple was kissed again and again. I was held tightly. "Porter, I'm here. Porter, I'm here." 21. I couldn't cry, and I couldn't scream. Porter held me and brought me back inside. He closed the door behind us and went out again. I heard a flurry of punches and kicks, followed by Porter's voice, sounding angry. He was warning Mars, warning him not to come near me again. After a while, Porter returned. Seeing me sitting by the door, he crouched down next to me. He lifted a hand and gently brushed the corner of my eye. "Spencer, it's okay to cry if you feel upset." "I don't want to." "Then what do you want to do?" I rolled my eyes and looked into his deep gaze. "I don't know." After an unknown amount of time, Porter let out a soft sigh. "I'm going downstairs to get something. Remember to open the door for me." 9876. Porter turned his head. Password. When Porter came back, I was still sitting by the door. He pulled me to the dining table, opened a carton of milk and a sandwich. Eat something. I don't want to. Eat first, then we'll do it. I stared at him, silent. After a brief pause, Porter took a sip of the milk himself. Then he guided me closer by holding my neck. This repeated several times until the milk carton was empty. Porter placed a bag in my lap and bent down to lift me into the bedroom. Once on the bed, the items I was holding were taken away. He undressed while lowering his head. His kisses were fierce, but not rushed. He moved to my ear, tracing down my neck. The warmth of his hand spread across me. Finally, he paused gently, giving me time to react. Porter took my hand and placed it on his shoulder, his voice husky. Baby, just being close to you excites me. I moved my toes against his hip. That's enough. I want to. Porter's core tensed. I wrapped my arms around his neck and closed my eyes. It hurt, but pain kept me awake. It was the only thing my brain could grasp clearly through the fog. And the pain Porter gave was the kind you didn't want to escape. I was like a small boat on huge waves. Porter was the ocean. The waves rose high, thundering. Several rises and falls later, he gently carried me back into his arms. His delicate kisses landed on my eyelids, nose, cheeks. Besides the pain, new sensations ran up my spine to my brain. The fog in my mind gradually cleared. My focus returned, onto Porter. I knew what I was doing. Using him. Masking some memories. I'm sorry, Porter. Afterward, Porter carried me to the bathroom. When we returned, he tucked me into bed and embraced me from behind. Spencer, tomorrow I'll take you to meet a friend, okay? Okay. 22. Porter took me to meet a friend who was a psychologist. The consulting room smelled faintly of incense. It was quiet and warm. Porter has already told me some of your background. I've been his friend for years. If you don't mind, you can consider me a friend too. Okay. Then let's begin. Pike asked many questions, and I answered each one. Spencer, your emotional state is too flat, almost non-existent. That doesn't match what you've been through. This happens when internal pain accumulates too much, affecting normal life. Your brain activates a self-protection mechanism, cutting off many feelings and sealing off your emotions. This closure has a time limit. It's the brain giving us a chance to seek help. Once it ends, the pain can hit back with twice the force. By then, you might not care about anything at all. I looked down and smiled indifferently. I feel like I don't care about much now anyway. You do care. Pike smiled and looked at me, then glanced out the window. In a nearby flower bed stood a tall, upright figure. Wearing a black coat, slender fingers holding an unlit cigarette. A breeze lifted his coat's edge but couldn't smooth the crease between his brows. It was Porter. Do I care about him? The fact that you listened to him and came here already says a lot. Porter seemed to sense it, turning his head to look over. Our eyes met. He relaxed his expression and smiled. After a long moment, I turned back to Dr. Pike. What should I do? First, try to release your emotions. How do I release them? You know what a child does when in pain. Cry. Yes. Adults can too. Tears are a great way to heal. They are one outlet for emotion. Better to release than block. If you stop suppressing yourself and follow my guidance, letting the sealed emotions out little by little, we'll already be halfway there. The next half hour was mostly Dr. Pike speaking while I listened. Strangely, with every deep breath, the heat in my eyes grew stronger. I couldn't help but glance out the window. Porter was still standing there, focused on me, mouthing something with a smile. The vision blurred. I couldn't make out what he was saying. My eyes stung and watered. I blinked, feeling an itch across my face. Am I crying? The thought alone made the tears flow like a dam breaking, uncontrollable. My chest heaved violently, gasping, instinctively clutching my chest. It felt like thousands of needles stirring inside. Is this the process of emotional release? Tears came and went, dried and returned. My head ached, my eyes ached. I covered my face, calming my emotions. After a while, someone removed their hand from mine. My face pressed against a warm chest. The scent was familiar. Where's Dr. Pike? Time's up. He's off work. Oh. Porter's chin rested lightly on my head, his hand slowly stroking my back. How do you feel? Tired. He kissed the corner of my eye. Good job, Spencer. 23. A week later, Royce told me he had still sold the company to Mars, but when transferring the money, Mars had added an extra $500 million. Bro, he also asked me to tell you that he's managing the company for now. If you want to return, you're welcome anytime. He even signed a letter of commitment. Should I bring it to you? No need. Find a proper time to return it to him. Oh, then the money from selling the company, remember we agreed to split it half and half? It's quite a lot. He'll transfer your share in 3 days. Royce, what's wrong, bro? Take 500 million and donate it to schools or hospitals. Keep the rest for yourself. A few seconds of silence on the other end. Bro, are you still mad at Dad? No. Then, are you mad at me? No. Then why? Royce, you'll always be my little brother. Take care of yourself. 24. The therapy sessions had already passed the halfway point. During this time, I accompanied Porter through a sensitivity period. He took a suppressant in advance, so I didn't feel much discomfort. It was the first time I sensed his pheromones. Warm, rich, with a hint of ebony wood. It was pleasant. He also took me to his home for a meal. That's when I realized that the famous Shinmao technology was his family's company. Porter's father carried the elegance of a cultured businessman, his mother was warm and capable. It was a very pleasant household. After the meal, we sat and chatted for a while. His father shared stories about Porter's childhood. Porter had strong opinions even as a kid. He said he wanted to study medicine, and your mother and I tried for 3 days and nights to persuade him otherwise, but couldn't. Porter whispered in my ear, regret it? His mother continued, Spencer, the past is the past. You're still so young, you have a bright future ahead. Many companies have offered you opportunities. If you don't mind, why not come to Shinmao? Porter and his father aren't counting on me. If you come to our family, your presence will let us retire earlier. Porter's expression looked slightly unhappy. Dad, Mom, Spencer coming to our house is a blessing. Besides, the money I earn can support him, don't worry about us. I patted Porter's hand and smiled. Uncle, Aunt, thank you for your kind offer. I'll seriously consider joining Shinmao. 25. This Saturday, I went to the therapy clinic as usual. After finishing, I walked to the door and spotted Porter's Lincoln parked nearby. He got out and, seeing me, ran over. How are you feeling today? The sunlight was bright and I squinted. Okay. He came closer, hugged me, and pressed a kiss to my face. Great, he whispered, cheek to cheek. Once in the car, Porter didn't rush to drive. What's wrong? I asked. Porter seemed a little nervous. Spencer, how far do you think our relationship has gone? I thought for a moment. We've kissed, slept together, met your parents, maybe, boyfriend? Then, can you be my partner? After a pause, I smiled. That means during future sensitivity periods, you might need a suppressant first. Porter looked at me quietly, his eyes reddening. Suddenly, he leaned in and hugged me tightly. Thank you, baby. After a while of snuggling, he let go. I have 3 things for you. Porter handed me a document granting shares. The first is from Dad. I glanced through it. 15% of the company. The shares aren't tied to joining Shinmao. They saved you the CEO position. If you join, they'll be happy. If not, these shares are still from Mom and Dad for you. Porter then handed me a jade bracelet. Mom asked me to give this to you. It was given to her by her grandmother when she got married. She said jade nourishes the wearer, so you can wear it at home. He put the bracelet around my wrist. The size fits well. Looks good. Porter held my hand and pulled out a small box. The last one, this is from me. Inside were a pair of platinum diamond rings. He picked the smaller one and slid it onto my left ring finger. Spencer, will you help me wear mine too? I snapped back to reality, my hand shaking slightly as I took the ring. Porter's fingertip brushed under my eye gently. I held his hand partially closed and pushed the ring over his knuckle onto his finger. Perfect fit. Porter, are these betrothal gifts? He smiled faintly. No, these 3 things are just how we show our love for you. As for betrothal, Mom and Dad are thinking of giving you the company. I have a hospital under my name. Is that okay? I couldn't help but laugh through my tears. I guess I'll give you a betrothal gift too, you bring the dowry. Porter raised one brow and said, okay. The street scenery slowly receded. I'm off this afternoon. Where do you want to go next? Home. Okay, home it is.